Let's talk about brothersinc.com. It's this amazing online spot that feels less like a website and more like a backstage pass to Hollywood history. But we're not talking about some stuffy old museum here. Nope. This is all about digging up those unforgettable stories, the epic feuds, the movies that defined a whole genre, and the hidden gems you might have missed. All the stuff that really gets to the human heart of Hollywood. All right, let's dive in.
But first, let me ask you something. What is it that makes a story really stick with you? Is it the characters? You know, the ones that feel larger than life? Or maybe it's the juicy behind-the-scenes drama? Or is it just the way a movie perfectly captures a certain mood? Just keep that question in your head, because that's exactly what Brothers Inc. is trying to figure out, one story at a time.
So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start our tour way back in Hollywood's golden age, where all the legends were born. Then we'll take a walk through a gallery of different genres to see how style really shapes a story. After that, we'll get into the art of making those best of the best lists. And finally, we'll see how all of this points you toward finding your next favorite movie or show.
Okay, first up, we're going right to the foundation, the bedrock of Hollywood. We are diving deep into the era of the giant studios, the iconic stars, and of course, the rivalries that burned, just as brightly as any spotlight. This is where Brothers Inc. really starts digging, not just into the movies themselves, but into the people who made them legends.
So picture this, two absolute titans of the silver screen. You've got Katharine Hepburn, fiercely independent, a powerhouse dramatic actress. And then you have Ginger Rogers, America's sweetheart, the incredible dancer who did everything her partner did, just, backwards and in high heels. Now, on the surface, they were just two super successful women at the absolute top of their game. But the real story, the one the site's interested in, happens when the cameras stop rolling.
And bam, what they uncover is this legendary feud. This right here is a perfect example of what these guys are all about. They get that the movies are only half the story, right? The other half is the totally human and, often super dramatic stuff happening behind the scenes. This rivalry isn't just some old gossip. It's a real window into the politics and the intense pressures of that whole era.
And this focus on the deeper story, it doesn't just stop with the movie stars. It totally extends to how they break down entire genres. So for our next little exhibit, we're going to take a tour of style and mood. Because, let's be honest, sometimes the most powerful character in a film is just its vibe.
Yeah, beyond the big names and the famous feuds, what about those films that are defined by their feel? You know the ones I'm talking about, where the setting, the lighting, and the whole tone are just as unforgettable as any actor on the screen. Which brings us right into the dark, rain-slicked streets of film noir. The site really gets into this world, highlighting things like the Arthur Lyons Film Noir Film Festival. It shows a real love for this super stylish, cynical universe of private eyes and deadly women, where nothing is ever just black and white.
And then, talk about a complete 180. We go from the shadows and burst out into the sun-drenched, high-octane world of 80s action. They put a spotlight on movies like To Live and Die in L.A., and they celebrate it as just the peak of that pulse-pounding, high-stakes filmmaking from an era that was all about energy and excess. And of course, you can't really talk about mood without talking about horror. The site goes back to the classics, exploring the gothic atmosphere of films like Dracula and The Mark of the Vampire. It's proof that real, lasting terror is timeless. It's built on suspense and shadow, not just cheap jump scares. So the big takeaway here is the incredible variety, and just how much they appreciate what makes each of these genres tick. So whether you're into the grit of film noir, the adrenaline rush of 80s action, the dread of a classic horror film, the puzzle of a great crime mystery, or the epic feeling of a timeless romance like Somewhere in Time, they really celebrate it all.
Okay, so in our third gallery, we get to see how Brothers Inc. helps us make sense of this huge, huge world. With a century of movies and TV shows at our fingertips, where do you even start? Well, they've pretty much mastered a specific art form to solve that problem: the curated list. It's like your personal guide through all the noise. And there seems to be a magic number here. When it comes to ranking the best of the best, you'll see them boil it down again and again to a carefully chosen top 15. It's not just a random number, it's their signature move. It cuts through all the clutter to show you what's truly excellent without being overwhelming. It's all about focused curation. And this is a brilliant way to see their range. So one list might give you the absolute must-see crime dramas for your next weekend binge, but then another one might offer this incredible deep dive into one creator's entire career, like all the iconic shows and movies from the great Gary Marshall. Each one of these lists is a perfect starting point for a whole new journey.
So this brings us to our final stop, and it's really where everything we've talked about, the feuds, the genre dives, the lists, it all comes together. Because Brothers Inc. isn't just an archive of old stories, it's actually a tool. It's your personal guide, designed to help you navigate the massive library of Hollywood and find that next thing you're going to be totally obsessed with.
So what's the bottom line here? You're not just scrolling through articles. You are discovering the real, human stories behind these legendary feuds. You're taking these amazing deep dives into your favorite genres, and you're using their curated rankings to find hidden gems. They've even got sections for things like forgotten films and classic movie trailers. It's just a complete resource for anyone who loves movies.
You know, when you boil it all down, the entire spirit of the site is really captured in this one idea, that every film, every TV show, every story, it isn't just a piece of entertainment. It's an entire world filled with its own history, its own drama, and its own art. And it's just sitting there, waiting for you to step inside and explore.
So really, the only question left is the one they seem to be asking with every single article they publish. With this whole universe of incredible stories right at your fingertips, what Hollywood story will you explore next?